Hi, hello everyone. Last time we left off, well, with this sprite renderer, where we actually optimized our renderer and now it's rendering thousands of sprites very quickly. And in this video, we're actually going to learn how to load Spritesheet so that we don't have to load individual sprites. So how are we going to load Spritesheet? Well, first of all, we're going to have to expand our draw sprite with another argument here, and actually I'm just going to copy that method for now, and I'll explain it in a second. So it's going to have another rect, and it's going to be source rect. So why do we need draw sprite source, something like that? Should I name it something like that? Yeah, it's probably fine. So how does this source work, and what will this source rect contain? Well, it's actually not that complex. So if you look at our sprite sheet, it actually contains, well, basically a bunch of sprites. So why do we need source rect? Well, it's basically going to hold coordinate. Let's say that we want to draw this guy. It's going to hold coordinates in this rect, and it might be, for example, let me just disable this because it's really annoying me. Where were you? In engine, and then we had this. Let's just disable it temporarily. So let's say that for simplicity, let's say that we have some image here, which is Spritesheet, right? And it has a bunch of sprites here. Let's just imagine, let's say that it's 100 in width, and we need a sprite which is drawn somewhere over here, right? And let's say that coordinates of that sprites in a sprite sheets are 100, and then in x, right? Then 100 in y, and then let's just say that that sprite has a width of 50 and height of 50, and that's exactly what we're going to encode in that sprite. So basically, let's say that here is pixel 100 100, and then we take 50 to the right. Maybe I can do it with this. So let's say this is 100 100. We take 50 for the width, 50 for the height, and that will make our sprite. So let's actually get to it. So but where are those texture coordinates? Well, in sheet XML. So with our assets, usually you need something that's going to tell you where the exact coordinates are, and you can see it already here, right? If you want the beam 0, it's in X position of 143 pixels, Y, then we have width and height, and we actually need to load this in order to have our assets. So let's do just that. So in our content, and I will call this, how will I call it? Well, maybe just create private state casing load Spritesheet. It's probably fine. So let's do that. So what are we going to need? Let's get rid of this, and let's just here say Spritesheet texture. Yes, let's just create Spritesheet, but actually we don't need it as public anymore. We're not going to reference it like that. We can get rid of this, and let's just say here Spritesheet, and our path to Spritesheet is, it's in Spritesheet here. Spritesheet, and then sheet PNG. So sheet PNG. So actually we're going to use that. This is breaking. It's not that important. We're going to fix that. And then let's just create our placeholder class, and you can call it Sprite. And for that, we're just going to do this. Constructor, public texture, public, it's going to be called drawRect. And then we're going to have public source rect. And you're going to see how all of that works quite soon. It's not super hard to actually load this sprite. So what do we need in Spritesheet? Well, we actually need our XML. So we can just say const sheet XML. And let's just call this request, and we can use fetch and fetch is just a JavaScript API function, which does, what does it do? Well, did I document it? Anyway, it's not important that the fetch, we're just going to use it to fetch the resource. So it can be some web page, some web resource, or it can be some local resource like our Spritesheet. So we're fetching that XML file, and then we can just say actually await here so that we don't have to do this weird stuff. And then we can just fetch it as text. And here, let's just say text. And then we actually need to create parser. So you can use DOM parser, and what parser is going to do is actually going to parse this XML. So you're going to see how that works in a second. It's quite easy. So we can create our XML document and then say parser, parse from string, sheet XML, but it's not text XML. It can remain text XML. I think it will be fine. So we can say XML doc now. Query selector all. We're going to select subtexture from here. So we're going to select all of these elements, and then we're going to go through them one by one. Now, so let's do just that. Nope. Sometimes I miss stuff on keyboard and then this happens, but it's fine now. So first we're going to need name from it. So we can just use subtexture get attribute name here. So for each of these, we're just going to fetch name and then x, y, width, and height. And you can see here it has PNG. I'm actually going to get rid of that. I don't need it. I don't care about it. So we can do, what can I do? I can do this, replace, question mark. It's because it's null, but you can also use just this, so that you say it's not null. And then we can get rid of PNG extension here, and then we can continue. Now we have our name, so we can get our x attribute value, and then we can just parse it to be of type integer. We can do same for y, width, height. So if you're wondering why does it have such good suggestions, I already coded this earlier, so it's probably remember stuff. It wasn't that easy when I was coding it. But then draw rect, actually, here, wrong suggestion. You see, it's not that smart anymore. So draw rect, I'm just going to set it to 0, 0. We don't care about it, but source rect is going to be our x, y. So we need x, y, y. Well, because we need to select from our texture coordinates correct x and y position, then we can just use width and height as it is. Okay, we have that. And so where are we going to keep those sprites? Well, I'll create something like this. Static no, come on. Sprites. And then it can be just a simple dictionary or map. Actually, I just want a simple dictionary. So we can do it like this. ID, it's of type string, and then value is of type sprite. And we can do this sprites. Oh, come on. Name is new sprite, and that's it of the stuff that we need. And then I get chance to say await this load sprite sheet. And I'm going to do something quickly because we're probably going to need this texture to test stuff out. If it works, I'm going to load that as well as a text texture, but let me just rename it so that it's easier. Test maybe UV. And then I'm going to have it public static test UV. And it's of type texture. So I'll just say texture here. and then I can actually load it. It's test UV texture, wait. It's not UV, I called it test UV, right? I renamed it here in assets to test UV and it's of type JPEG. So let's do just that. And I think that actually covers our loading. So going further, we need to make use of our source rect here. Up. So what are we going to do with it? Well, we need to pass this UV coordinate, so we can just say let U0, and it can be just source rect X over texture width. So why over texture width? Well, it's just because we need to normalize our space. So let's say that this is our texture and it goes somewhere from 100, from 0 to 1000. And we want to take this part, which might be at some coordinate x of 100. But our WebGL space grows from 0 to 1. So we just need to normalize it. And how do we do? Well, we can just divide it by 1000. And then we're going to get 0.1. And now it's correct in WebGL space. So that's why. So let's get to it. Let's see. So we're going to have this. We're going to have V0. So it's just texture. Yeah, source Y over texture width. And then we need these two. So this is just if we imagine our. Let's have this as a base image. Then we had up. Then we wanted this small part, but it might be 100 in width. And then to get actually this edge, we just add width to it. And that's why we add width. It's similar for height. So we have that now. Now we can start pasting that in. So here it's going to be U0. Here it's actually going to be V1 because it's 1. So wherever you see for U1, you just pass U1. Here it's V1. That's U1. So V1. No, V0. My bad. And here it's U0 and V0. So make sure that that's in draw sprite resource, and then we need to start to use it. So how do we use it? Let's see. In our engine we had this, but let's just say this sprite render draw sprite source, and then we can select some sprite source, and it's going to be, what are we going to select? I had something like player here. Don't know. Player life, player. Let's see. Player ship. Damage orange, blue. All right. Player ship. I'll use blue. Okay. So we had our content and then sprites, and I'm just going to select this player ship blue, and I'm just going to say const sprite. So for the sprite, we actually just need to pass it in now. So if you remember, our sprite now actually holds the texture. It also holds the draw rect, sprite, the draw rect, and then it also holds the source rect now. All right, we see it. But it's wrong. And actually, reason why it's wrong, if you remember, I mentioned last time that our WebGL coordinates is actually going from 0 to 1 or vice versa. I don't even remember anymore, but it's actually really easy to fix. If it's something that's opposite, you can just do this small change. You can essentially say for this v here 1 minus, right? And 1 minus. Since our source rect, right? This is in space 0 to 1, and we just want to reverse it, so we just do this. And here is our ship, which is perfect. Just one small issue here. Is it issue? Let's see. It's actually pointing upwards. Okay, so I have to fix that as well. So that might be easy. So here, let's just say u0. So let's just change this. So wherever you have v, just reverse it. v1 and v1. Okay, now it seems fine. You can do that, you can play with it. That's why we're going to use this UV texture, because I needed to test if everything is set up properly. So therefore I'm going to use it. Okay, let's see further. So we have our player ship, but now we can do just some small changes here. So let's just improve our gameplay a bit. Let's just say that our sprite direct x, let's just say plus equals 0.1. Let's do the same for y. And you can see it's moving now. All right. So what else can I do? Well, actually, let's just test our method. I'm not going to need this anymore. So I'll just remove it. And I'm going to use our UV now, our test texture. So let's just draw sprite with source. Let's say, what was it? Content test UV texture. Then we had rect. So we can just test it here and then new source rect. Yeah, new rect. Let's just say 0, 0. And what's the size of the texture? Let's just see. It says here 742. So I'll just do this. Concise, yeah, 742. So let's test with size. Maybe not size, maybe something like source. Nah, I'll leave it at size. It doesn't matter. We're just testing. Okay, so now I actually want to test just this part. Let's see if this renders correctly. So this should be for our width 0 and our. So this, let's divide by 2 because, okay, it works. It works. I'm not going to explain it. It works actually. And so let's just see top right part, so I can just say size here. Okay, top right works. Let's see right bottom. It works, and probably then this works as well. If I just check left bottom, it works as well. So I can leave that here as a test texture. So you can use it as a text texture. I'm actually, yeah, let's just leave it here, and let's move this guy a bit faster. He's really slow. But so let's do next thing. One small thing. If you look at sheet PNG, we have this kind of shield. So I'm going to use the shield, and I'm going to show you in a second why, because I could finish video here, but I still have one more thing that I wanted to use, and that's finally our final argument here, which is color. So let's do just this, and then I'm going to show you how color is going to work. So we had this, so let's just say shield sprite. And here it already suggests a shield. I will use one. And let's just say that our shield sprite. So we're just going to put shield here, shield here, shield here. So we can see our shield. Probably I should just disable this for a moment. This shield should be a bit better. Let's use shield 3. So you can see it here. I'm just going to attach it to a player. So how do I do that? Well, we can just move it with the player. Drawrect.x is player. Sorry, we use sprite drawrect.x. I'm just going to rename it to player sprite or something like that, because it's going to be a player in future. Maybe we'll see. So let's just do this. Let's do this. y is equal to draw rect y, and you can see our shield is moving with the player. But I'm just going to correct it, and I'm going to hardcore these values now. So what's it going to be? So I already had some good values for this. I'm just going to say minus 22 and minus 25 to fix position. And you can see it's following our player. Perfect. So the color, for the color, let's just create color this here and export class color. Then we can have constructor, and let's just say public RGB alpha. We're not using alpha actually, so let's get rid of that. And let's just say that it's going to be white by default. So place everything to 1. So our colors are going to go from 0 to 1 basically. And then in our sprite render, let's just do this quickly. So let's create a default color. Let's just say here private default color is new color, and it's going to be white because our color is set up to 111. We're not using it yet, and let's do just here, let's say color is equal to default color. So what do we need? Color. And then let's just pass it wherever you have 1. We just need to pass color here. So it needs to be R, G, and B. So we need to do it here as well. Color dot R, G, B. A bit boring. It is what it is. RGB and okay, it works as expected. So no effect. But now, if you go to, for example, shield, you can pass new color here, and you can say, let's say that we want to pass blue color here. So 001, right, RGB, and then, oh, wrong. I don't want to do it actually for play. I wanted to do it for shield because it's a better effect. But you can see our shield now has this blue tint, and that's why we use color. And if you remember, that's because in our shader, our fragment shader, we actually multiplied texture with the color. So that's why it's now having this blue tint. If you play with it, you can also change it maybe to some other color. As you can see, it has this kind of coloring. So you can actually play with it. And let's just bring this back as well, our test. Actually, we don't need it anymore. We're sure that it works, but we might need it in future. So I'm going to leave it here. And with that said, so you can do this. Well, let's just, yeah, we need to finish this. So this guy is also going to have color, and then here color.r gb. So that you can do it if you're not drawing with Spritesheet as well. And all right, no effect. But anyway, that's it. Hopefully you've seen that it's not super hard to actually do that. So this brings us really close to our gameplay part of our series. For the next time, I just want to do rotations, and then we're actually going to do gameplay after that. So if you like this video, subscribe, like the video, and until next time.